Thank you very much. Matthew thought we were going to do Caravan of Love this morning. I surprised him and decided not to, and tell you, and sort of I've titled this insight, what does ESG even mean? Because obviously I've got Planet ESG as a brand, so I thought I'd do a little bit of explaining around that should people need it. This is there are some new people on the call, so this is my clan, or at least the next generations. I still have living, both parents are still alive. My dad's my dad's 92, my mum's 88. They're separated, both still married, but my dad's in Bristol, for those of you down there in Fish Ponds, those that know it. And mum and stepdad are in the outskirts of Sheffield. The next generation, so in the middle you've got Steph, she's my new wife. We got married in July. And on the left are my clan, so you've got Katrina at the top, got married a couple of years ago, but does struggle with her mobility. She's got degenerative back disorder. And all the sort of psychological things that go with not being able to get her be mobile as well. Melissa on the bottom left is my middle daughter, and she lives in London and works in a school now, but she's a costume designer by training. And Carly works in a car auction organization, which is very dynamic. So she spent a few years now in car dealerships and such. The middle, Steph and myself, and then her two children on the right-hand side. Robin is a trained midwife working at Lancaster Hospital, and Sam is a web developer. And the little lad is our grandson by Robin. He's 10 years old, climbing up an adventure playground as 10-year-olds often do. I have mentioned caravan. That's the picture on the right. That was in the summer. It's still sunny up there. It's not quite as warm, but still enjoyable. Planet ESG is my new brand in the middle, and the other allocations there. Top left, I'm chair of a housing association, a social housing provider, a community gateway association, which is in Preston, has 7,000 social homes. I'm a tenant myself, requires a tenant board member. So sorry, Emma, no mortgages from me whilst I'm a tenant, but maybe shared ownership in future, yeah. And I am also patron of the Swallows Head and Neck Cancer Charity as well, which is the picture on the bottom left, with Steph and Carly actually helping me out exhibiting at a health education event a few months ago. Briefly, picture of the wedding. As you can see, we eloped and went to Gretna Green in the summer. No one knew about it, just the two of us, no family, no friends. All good, very easy to organise, I must admit. So that was that. And so going on to the business, so I've put on here some reasons why organisations might want to work with us. So I'm not going to go read all that list, but I'll just pick on a couple in there which are current pieces of work. So working with a board of directors, because there is some conflict and complexity in there that needs unpicking. I've got a piece of work around that at the moment. And the other very new one is around support to become a preferred supplier. So I'm working with an architect who is aiming to get on a preferred supplier framework for a construction framework on a regional basis as well. So there's I think what I'll do is I'll sort of whiz through this, but Matt, are we all right to send the slides out afterwards to everybody? Are they? Yeah, we can do that, and have a look at that. A lot in here about reduction in cost as well, analysing costs that are running through the business to make sure it's profitable. So that would fit in with the business coaching. You know, it's one thing having products and services that you really love and like to sell, but you know, are you actually going to make some money out of them as well? And what are your operating costs, that sort of thing. I can work closely with accountants on the business advice side as well. Types of intervention I can use, upskilling, so you know, training sessions, workshops in either one-to-one with senior or middle managers on the leadership side, or in groups as well. One-to-one coaching, but actually writing service as well. So written business plans, written project plans, responses to tenders or funding bids, policy and procedures writing. So I'm on with, as part of the sort of tendering work that I was talking about. I'm reviewing a health and safety policy. I'm reviewing a GDPR policy, and that sort of thing. That sort of, you know, is often standard stuff. You know, getting some of the basics right as well. To support the organisations requiring that support. Facilitation I've got in there. So as I mentioned, maybe conflict management at board level, and then I'd also like to challenge you, you know, on the one-stop supplier connector service, and basically say, if you're struggling, if you need a product or a service, and you need someone to supply that, you might want to save yourself some time. And I'm so well connected in various forums that I would challenge myself to be able to find people that you need if you need a supplier as well. So what the devil is ESG? Environmental, social and governance is what it stands for. But basically, this definition from Corporate Finance Institute, or I've adapted it from that, takes the holistic view that sustainability extends beyond just environmental issues. So it covers the environmental, it covers the waste management, it covers the green energy, climate change, flooding, fires, you know, all around that. But the social angle is about workforces, the values, the values within organisations. Make sure that workforces want to come to work, you know, because there's a reason that needs to happen. But also the social value to wider communities. So what do businesses do to support social enterprises, to support charities, you know, to support the social values in the environment as well. So fair wages, employee engagement, risks of health and safety, malpractice in the supply chain, risks of modern slavery practices in the supply chain would also all come into that. And then governance is about how an organisation is led and managed, how shareholders' rights are viewed and honoured. For example, engagement with tenants and residents of a social housing provider, which is obviously my what I know and love quite a lot personally. And then what type of internal controls exist within that organisation to promote transparency and accountability. I'm conscious of time. I've only got about a minute left or so, haven't I? Yeah, I think there's a bunch of questions here, so I'll share the slides. You can read them for yourselves. But do you need to demonstrate your environmental and carbon neutrality credentials and standards to delight your customers and workforce? Because people are making choices about that. Customers and talent are making choices around those areas. On social, is your business sure or unsure about how to deliver its social responsibility ambitions? Do you know the risk to your business and your projects? These are a whole host of questions that I can support with within the business. You know, as I say, not time to go through all of these, but just examples in there. Compliance and standards is another one. Thinking about ISO standards like 9001 quality management, 14001, 53001 covering the environment and various, yeah. How we can help, a whole range of things in there around how we can actually help in there. But don't see a service you need, then we might be able to help with that. One thing I would say is, yeah, a lot of this is ultimately people want to be able to make more connections and make more sales and make more and be more profitable. So lots of support in that area if anybody wants to explore that further. I just encourage you all to have a one-to-one with me. You know, I've got some booked in, but we need to do more of those and just explore this in more detail about how we may be able to sort of work with you. There's plenty of collaborations possible, I think, in these spaces as well. So yeah, and then you know, in typical sort of process map style, my contact details are there, which you can review afterwards, and there's also a link to be able to book a one-to-one in there or have a look at the website as well. Yeah, I am an FSB member. I'm also a partner for something called Boost & Co, which is Boost Business Lancashire, which is the growth hub which covers the whole of Lancashire. So I'm a private sector partner into that as well. And probably need to leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Phil. I do have one question, and I'm sure other people will have questions as well. But when it comes to kind of understanding what an ideal client is for you, is that an industry type? Is it a size of business, or is it more symptom based?
Symptom based because of the operational cost side. So some of the people on this call will know that I've got big interest in renewable energy provision. So as you know, there's a cost of living crisis that extends to business as well as customers in terms of their energy costs. So I've got big interest in those areas, but that can take me into various sectors, which is like care homes use a lot of electricity, so do manufacturers, so do hotels and restaurants, you know, and anybody that's got big energy bills, you know, is prime. But I've broadened that out to say, you know, let's have a look at your operating costs anyway. You know, are you wasting money that you don't have to spend, you know, on things? We can support in that area as well. So there is a lot of things in there, like project management. I'm a trained project manager, you know, but that is not sector specific. You can learn to be a project manager wherever you're working, you know, and run more efficient projects. You know, so yeah. I hope that helps. I've obviously big interest in housing as well. I'm well networked into housing through the National Housing Federation. You know, it brings me into contact with other chairs and other executive teams in social housing providers. So if anybody wants to do with business with social housing providers, for example, it's worth us having a one-to-one and just exploring that a bit more.
Okay, fab. Thank you very much. Lots of food for thought. I am slightly conscious of time. We maybe have time for one quick question if anybody's got one, but otherwise I think take Phil's lead and arrange those one-to-ones to talk about what you want.
Jane, I think.
Morning, Phil. I know you say you work with housing associations, etc. If someone has a new idea in relation to housing, in relation to try and provide housing, because we know we're in a housing crisis now, would that be something I could do through you, so you could feed it into the housing association?
I think that's worth us talking about, yeah, to be able to do that. But it obviously depends what it is, and it might be something that the Chartered Institute of Housing or National Housing Federation needs to know about, or if it's something more relevant to tenant, then there are organisations such as Place Shapers and tenant participation advisory service that, you know, might be relevant ones to feed it, you know, feed that in. Yeah. But yeah, always looking for fabulous ideas.